Why don't we just get married? The words hung in the air like smoke from a loaded gun. Ethan Cole had meant it as a joke, the kind you throw out when the truth burns too hot to hold. But Ava Sterling didn't laugh. The billionaire who commanded boardrooms and broke markets went completely still, her champagne glass frozen halfway to her lips. I'd say yes. Three words. 8 years of friendship detonating in a single breath. If you want to see how a joke became the most dangerous truth two people ever told, stay until the end. Drop a like and comment your city so I can see how far this story travels. The wedding wasn't theirs, but somehow it felt like it should have been. Ethan Cole stood at the edge of the reception hall, watching crystal chandeliers throw fractured light across marble floors that probably cost more than his entire house. Everything here screamed money, the kind that didn't just talk, it sang opera. Ice sculptures shaped like swans, champagne towers that could fund a small country's education budget. Flower arrangements so elaborate they looked like they belonged in a museum, not on tables where drunk relatives would knock them over by midnight. He didn't belong here. He knew it. The other guests knew it. Hell, even the waitstaff seemed to know it, the way their eyes skimmed past him like he was furniture. But Ava had asked him to come, and when Ava Sterling asked for something, Ethan Cole showed up. That's what he'd been doing for 8 years, showing up. She was across the room now, trapped in a conversation with 3 men in suits that probably cost more than his car. Ethan could see her smile, the public one, the one she wore like armor. Bright enough to convince strangers, empty enough that he could tell she wanted to be anywhere else. Their eyes met across the crowd. She gave him a look. The one that said, "Save me," without making a sound. Ethan set down his beer, some craft IPA with a name he couldn't pronounce, and started weaving through the crowd. A woman in a dress that cost more than his rent stepped back without looking, nearly sending her champagne straight into his chest. He dodged. Barely. "Excuse me," he muttered. She didn't hear him, or didn't care. By the time he reached Ava, she had already shifted her body language, creating space for him in the conversation like she'd been expecting his arrival, like they'd choreographed this. Maybe they had. After 8 years, some things didn't need planning. "Ethan," she said, and her smile changed, got real. "I was just telling Richard about that restaurant we tried last month, the one with the terrible acoustics? The one where we couldn't hear ourselves think?" Ethan fell into the rhythm easily. "Yeah, great food, though." Richard, tall, silver-haired, expensive watch, looked at Ethan the way you'd look at a stain on expensive upholstery, noticing it, judging it, deciding whether it was worth the effort to clean. "And you are?" Richard asked. Ethan Cole. He didn't offer a handshake. Richard didn't seem like he wanted one. "Ethan's my +1, Ava said. "Not friend, not date, just +1. The word that meant everything and nothing. "Ah." Richard's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes did. A recalculation. "Well, Ava, we should really discuss the merger before the evening ends. Perhaps we could—" "Tomorrow," Ava said. Polite. Firm. The voice she used in boardrooms when she'd already made up her mind. Tonight's about family. Richard's smile tightened. "Of course. Enjoy your evening." He left. The other 2 suits followed like satellites losing orbit. Ava let out a breath she'd been holding. "Thank God." "You're welcome, one," Ethan said. "I didn't say thank you." "You were thinking it." She laughed. The real one. The one that crinkled the corners of her eyes and made her look less like the woman on magazine covers, and more like the person who'd spent last Tuesday night on his couch, eating pizza and arguing about whether The Empire Strikes Back was better than Return of the Jedi. "I was," she admitted. "He's been cornering me all night. Him and about 15 other people who suddenly care very deeply about my opinion on market trends. At a wedding, she confirmed. Because apparently, I'm not allowed to just be a guest. I have to be Ava Sterling, CEO, even at my cousin's reception." Ethan glanced around the room. More ice sculptures, more champagne, more people in clothes that cost more than his monthly salary. "Your family doesn't do anything small, do they?" "My family doesn't understand the word small." Ava grabbed a glass of champagne from a passing waiter. My aunt spent 6 months planning this. 6 months. Do you know how many board meetings I could have had in 6 months? Hundreds. Exactly. And somehow this was more exhausting than all of them combined. She took a sip, made a face. This champagne tastes like regret. That's because it's expensive, Ethan said. The really expensive stuff always tastes like regret. Spoken like a man who drinks beer. Spoken like a man who knows what he likes. Another laugh. Softer this time. She looked at him over the rim of her glass, and for a second the noise of the reception faded. The music. The conversations. The clinking of crystal and the rustle of expensive fabric. Just her, looking at him like he was the only real thing in the room. "I'm glad you came," she said quietly. "You asked." "I know, but you could have said no. You have Tyler this weekend. He's with my mom. She wanted grandmother time." Ethan shrugged. "Besides, you said you needed backup. I don't leave my people hanging." My people. The phrase settled between them. Not quite friendship, not quite something else. Just them. The way they'd always been. A new song started. Something slow. Couples drifted toward the dance floor like moths to flame. Ava watched them. Her expression shifted into something Ethan couldn't quite read. Not sad. Not happy. Somewhere in the exhausted middle. "You okay?" he asked. "Fine." She said it too quickly, the way people do when they're anything but. "Ava," she sighed, set down her champagne. "You know what the worst part about these things is? The ice sculptures? The questions." She gestured vaguely at the room. "Everyone wants to know when I'm getting married, when I'm settling down, like running $1 billion company isn't enough. Like I'm somehow incomplete without a ring and a husband and 2.5 kids in the suburbs." Ethan had heard this before. Different variations, same frustration. "My aunt literally asked me if I was seeing anyone," Ava continued, "at the receiving line, while people were waiting to congratulate the actual bride and groom. She looked at me like I was some kind of tragic figure. Poor Ava, so successful, so alone. You're not alone. I know that, you know that, but they don't see it that way." She picked up her champagne again, didn't drink it, just held it like a prop. "They see a 30-year-old woman without a husband and decide that's the most important thing about me. Not the company I built, not the people I employ, just my relationship status. Your family sounds exhausting." "You have no idea." She paused. "Actually, you probably do. You get the single parent questions, right? Every time." Ethan smiled without humor. "When am I dating again? Don't I want Tyler to have a mother figure? Aren't I lonely? Are you?" The question caught him off guard. Not because it was invasive, Ava had earned the right to ask invasive questions years ago, but because he didn't have a good answer. "Sometimes," he said finally, "but not in the way they mean. I'm not looking for someone to complete me or whatever. I'm just tired of explaining myself. Tired of people treating single parenting like it's some kind of tragedy instead of just life." Ava nodded, understanding without judgment. That's what she did, what she'd always done. "We should start a club," she said, "for people who are tired of other people's opinions about their personal lives. What would we call it? The Mind Your Own Business Society. Catchy." She smiled. "We'd need t-shirts." Obviously. The song changed, something faster, the dance floor filled with people who'd had just enough champagne to think they could dance. "Come on," Ava said suddenly. "Where?" "Outside. I need air, and you need to rescue me from my own family before I say something I'll regret." "You never regret the things you say." "I regret them in the moment. Then I get over it." She was already moving, not waiting to see if he'd follow. He followed. Of course he did. They slipped out through a side door that led to the gardens. The venue, because of course it was a venue, not just a hotel, had sprawling grounds that looked like something out of a period drama. Manicured hedges, stone pathways, string lights hung between trees like stars someone had caught and tamed. The air was cooler out here, cleaner. Ethan could breathe without feeling like he was drowning in expensive perfume and desperation. Ava walked ahead, her heels clicking on stone. She stopped near a fountain, because of course there was a fountain, and looked up at the sky, or what passed for sky in a city with this much light pollution. Better? Ethan asked, coming to stand beside her. Much. She kicked off her heels. These things are torture devices. Then why wear them? Because if I showed up in sneakers, my mother would have a stroke. She wiggled her toes against the cool stone. There, much better. They stood in silence for a moment. Not the awkward kind. The comfortable kind. The kind that came from knowing someone long enough that quiet didn't need filling. I lied earlier, Ava said finally. About what? About being fine. I'm not fine. She trailed off, searching for words. I'm tired, Ethan. Really tired. Of what? All of it. The company, the expectations, the people who only want to know me because of what I can do for them. She turned to face him. Do you know how many dates I've been on in the last 2 years where the guy spent the entire time pitching me business ideas like I'm a walking investment opportunity instead of a person? How many? 7. 7 different guys, and those were just the ones who made it to a second date. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. I stopped counting after that. Stopped trying. Ethan didn't know what to say. He'd seen this side of her before, the exhausted side, the human side, but never quite this raw. I'm sorry, he said, because what else was there? Don't be. It's not your fault. She picked up one of her shoes, examined it like it held answers. You know what's funny? I can negotiate million-dollar deals without blinking. I can walk into a room full of men who want to see me fail and come out on top. But put me on a date with someone who's supposed to like me for me, and I fall apart. That's not funny. It's a little funny. She set the shoe down. Or maybe it's just pathetic. It's not pathetic. Then what is it? Ethan considered this. Human? She looked at him, really looked at him, the way she did sometimes when she was trying to figure out if he meant what he said. You always know what to say, she said quietly. No, I don't. I just say what I'm thinking. That's the same thing. It's really not. Another silence, this one heavier, weighted with things neither of them was saying. A burst of laughter came from inside. Someone had probably knocked over one of those champagne towers. Or maybe Richard had said something he thought was funny. Do you ever think about it? Ava asked. Think about what? Getting married, settling down, all that stuff everyone keeps asking about. Ethan shrugged. Sometimes, not seriously. I've got Tyler, I've got work, I've got enough on my plate without adding a relationship to the mix. But if you could, if it was easy, nothing's easy. Hypothetically, he thought about it, really thought about it. I guess, yeah, maybe, if it was the right person, someone who got it, got me, someone who didn't need me to be anything other than what I already am. Ava nodded slowly. That's the dream, isn't it? Someone who sees you, really sees you, not the successful version or the potential version, just you. Yeah. I don't think that person exists. Sure they do. Not for people like me. Well, she said it matter-of-factly, like she was commenting on the weather. People see the money first. Everything else is just background noise. I don't. She looked at him. I know. That's why you're here. The weight of that statement settled between them. Heavy, true. Another couple wandered out into the gardens, young, laughing, drunk on champagne and whatever new love feels like before reality sets in. They didn't notice Ethan and Ava, just stumbled past, wrapped up in each other. I should probably go back inside, Ava said, but she didn't move. Probably. My aunt's going to corner me again, ask me if I've met any nice men lately. Tell her you've met plenty of men, they're just not nice. She laughed, the real one again. I should, just to see her face, not do it. I won't, but I'll think about it. She bent down to pick up her shoes. You know what I wish? What? I wish I could just skip all the dating nonsense. Skip the awkward getting to know you phase. Skip the wondering if someone actually likes me or just likes what I represent. She straightened up. I wish I could just marry someone I already know, someone who's already seen me at my worst and hasn't run away screaming. Ethan's heart did something strange in his chest. A skip, a stutter, something. That would be convenient, he said. His voice sounded normal. How was his voice normal? Right? She wasn't looking at him, just staring at her shoes like they were the most interesting things in the world. Just marry your best friend and call it a day. No drama, no games, just partnership. The word hung in the air, partnership. Ethan's brain was moving too fast and too slow at the same time, thoughts piling up like cars in a crash. 8 years. They'd known each other for 8 years. He thought about Tuesday nights on his couch, thought about the way she showed up for Tyler's birthday every single year without being asked, thought about 3 in the morning phone calls when she couldn't sleep and knew he'd be awake because Tyler had a nightmare, thought about 1,000 small moments that had seemed like friendship because he'd been too scared to call them anything else. And then his mouth opened, and words came out. Words he didn't plan, didn't rehearse, didn't fully understand until they were already in the air. Why don't we just get married? He said it like a joke. The inflection was there. The casual tone, the slight laugh at the end that said, I'm kidding, obviously. But his heart wasn't joking. His heart was dead serious. Ava went very still. She turned to look at him, slow, deliberate, like she was giving him time to take it back. He didn't take it back. What? Her voice was quiet, careful. I said, Ethan's throat was dry. Why don't we just get married, you and me? Skip all the nonsense. We already know each other. We already work. He was still trying to play it off, still trying to keep the escape hatch open. Just a joke, just a ridiculous suggestion between friends. But Ava wasn't laughing. She was just looking at him, her expression unreadable, the champagne glass forgotten in her hand. Seconds passed. They felt like hours. Ethan, she started. And then she stopped. And then she said the 3 words that would change everything. I'd say yes. The world tilted. Not metaphorically, actually tilted, like gravity had shifted and Ethan was standing on ground that wasn't quite solid anymore. What? His voice came out strangled. I said I'd say yes. Ava's face was doing something he'd never seen before. Vulnerable, open, scared. If you asked me, actually asked me, I would say yes. Ethan's brain short-circuited. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. She was supposed to laugh, roll her eyes, tell him he was an idiot. They were supposed to go back inside and pretend he'd never said anything. But she wasn't laughing. She was looking at him like he'd just split the earth open and shown her what was underneath. Ava, I mean it. Her voice was steady now, steadier than his. You want to know why I'm so tired of dating? Why nothing ever works out? Because I keep comparing everyone to you. Every single person I meet, I think, they're not Ethan. They don't get me like Ethan does. They don't make me laugh like Ethan does. She took a breath. So yeah, if you asked me to marry you, actually asked me, I would say yes. Ethan couldn't breathe. 8 years of carefully maintained boundaries just exploded. You're serious, he said. Not a question, a confirmation of something impossible. I'm serious. Ava, He stopped. Because what was he? Joking. Was he really joking? Or had some part of him, the part that noticed how her smile changed when she looked at him, the part that counted down the days until he'd see her again, been absolutely serious? You were what? She asked. Kidding? Because it didn't sound like you were kidding. I don't know what I was doing. Yes, you do. She stepped closer. You were saying what you've been thinking, what maybe we've both been thinking, for a while now. His heart was hammering. Ava, tell me I'm wrong. Her eyes held his. Tell me you've never thought about it, about us, about what it would be like if we stopped pretending this was just friendship. He couldn't tell her that, because she wasn't wrong. God, she wasn't wrong. The word stuck in his throat. This is crazy. Probably. We can't just... Why not? Because... He gestured helplessly. Because you're you, and I'm me. And there's a whole world of reasons why this doesn't make sense. Name one. You're a billionaire. So? So I'm a single dad who works in IT and drives a car that's held together with duct tape and prayer. I don't care about that. Everyone else would. I don't care about everyone else. She was close enough now that he could smell her perfume. Something subtle, expensive. Ava. I care about you. I've cared about you for 8 years. I just didn't realize how much until you made that stupid joke, and I realized it wasn't stupid at all. It was the first honest thing either of us has said in a long time. Ethan's defenses were crumbling. All the reasons he'd built up, all the logic he'd used to keep this friendship safely platonic, gone. This is insane, he said weakly. Maybe. She smiled, small, uncertain. But you started it. I was joking. Were you? He opened his mouth, closed it. No, he wasn't joking. Not really. Not where it counted. Ava, if we do this, if we even think about doing this, everything changes. I know. We could lose each other. We could. She reached out, took his hand. Her fingers were warm. Or we could stop wasting time pretending we're something we're not. His hand closed around hers, automatic, like it belonged there. I don't want to lose you, he said. You're the best thing in my life, you and Tyler. If I screw this up, you won't. You don't know that. I know you. She squeezed his hand. I know you better than anyone. And I know that if there's anyone in this world I could build a life with, it's you. You're already in my life. You're already the person I call when something good happens. You're already the person I want to see at the end of a terrible day. The only difference is that now we're admitting it. Ethan felt something crack open in his chest, something that had been sealed tight for years. Fear, hope, truth. I think about you all the time, he heard himself say. Every day, first thing in the morning, last thing at night. I tell myself it's friendship, that it's normal to think about your best friend this much. But it's not. It's not normal. I look for you in every room I walk into. I save things to tell you. I make decisions based on what you'd think of them. And I've been telling myself for years that this was enough, that I didn't need more. But you're right. It's not just friendship. It hasn't been for a long time. Ava's eyes were bright, wet. Then what is it? She whispered. And Ethan finally said the truth he'd been running from. I'm in love with you. The words dropped like stones into still water. Ava's breath caught. I'm in love with you, he said again, firmer this time. I have been for years. I just didn't let myself see it. Because you're brilliant and successful, and you could have anyone, and I'm just me, a guy with a kid and a mortgage, and no business being in love with someone like you. Stop. Her voice was fierce. Stop talking about yourself like that. You're not just anything. You're Ethan. You're the man who shows up, who keeps his promises, who loves his son more than anything in the world, who treats me like a person instead of a business opportunity. Do you know how rare that is? Ava, I'm in love with you too. The words came out in a rush. I have been, for so long. I thought you didn't see me that way, that I was convenient, safe, the friend who'd always be there, so I didn't say anything. I just stayed, hoping maybe someday you'd look at me differently. I've been looking at you differently for years, Ethan said. I just didn't let myself admit it. They stood there, hands clasped, both of them breathing hard like they'd been running. 8 years of unspoken truth between them. And now it was out. All of it. So what do we do? Ava asked. Ethan laughed, short, breathless. I have no idea. We could. She bit her lip. We could try. Actually try. Not just talk about it. Not just wonder. Actually give this a real shot. Dating? If that's what you want to call it. She smiled. Though after that declaration, I feel like we might be past the dating stage. We skipped a few steps. We've been doing the steps for 8 years. We just called it something else. She wasn't wrong. All those nights on his couch, all those phone calls, all those moments when they'd chosen each other over everyone else. That was dating. They just hadn't called it that. Tyler, Ethan said suddenly. I have to think about Tyler. He loves you. But if this doesn't work out, it will work out. You can't know that. You're right. I can't. She stepped closer. But I can promise I'll try. I can promise I won't walk away when things get hard. I can promise that Tyler will always matter to me, whether we work out or not, because he's part of you, and you're... She paused. You're everything. Ethan's throat was tight. This is crazy, he said again. You keep saying that, because it is. Good crazy or bad crazy? He looked at her, really looked at her. Ava Sterling, billionaire, CEO, the woman who'd spent 8 years being his best friend without him realizing she was also his person. Good crazy, he said finally. Terrifying, but good. She smiled. I can work with terrifying. Music drifted out from the reception, something slow, romantic, the kind of song couples danced to when they thought no one was watching. We should probably go back inside, Ava said. Probably. Neither of them moved. Ava? Yeah? If I kiss you right now, everything changes. You know that, right? I'm counting on it. So he did. He kissed her, and everything changed. It wasn't fireworks. Wasn't earth-shattering. Wasn't the kind of kiss you see in movies where the world stops and time freezes and nothing else matters. It was better than that. It was real. It was Ava tasting like champagne and hope. It was 8 years of almost finally becoming something tangible. It was scary and perfect and absolutely insane. And when they pulled apart, both of them breathing hard, Ethan thought maybe crazy wasn't such a bad thing after all. Okay, Ava said. Her voice was shaky. Okay. Okay? I'm all in. She looked up at him. If you're asking, actually asking, I'm all in. Ethan thought about everything that could go wrong. Every reason this was a terrible idea. Every logical argument against two best friends deciding to blow up their entire relationship. And then he thought about 8 years of choosing her, of wanting her, of loving her without admitting it. I'm asking, he said. Ava's smile could have lit up the entire garden. Then I'm saying yes. But, and somewhere in the distance, the reception continued. People danced and drank and celebrated a wedding that wasn't theirs. But out here, in the quiet garden with string lights overhead, Ethan and Ava stood together. Not as friends. Not anymore. As something new, something fragile, something that had been building for 8 years and was finally real. We're going to have to tell people, Ava said. Eventually. Your family's going to have opinions. My family always has opinions, doesn't mean I listen to them. She paused. Your mom's going to freak out. In a good way or a bad way? Good way. She loves me. She does. Ethan smiled. Tyler's going to lose his mind. Think he'll be okay with it? Are you kidding? He's been asking when you're moving in for 2 years. Ava laughed. Has he? Every time you leave, Why doesn't Ava just stay here, Dad? Like it's the most logical thing in the world. Smart kid. He gets it from his dad. Debatable. They stood there, hands still clasped, both of them grinning like idiots. This is really happening, Ava said. Not a question. A statement of fact. This is really happening, Ethan confirmed. And for the first time in 8 years, neither of them was pretending. They were just them. Finally honest. Finally brave enough to see what had been there all along. The reception doors opened. Someone called Ava's name. Probably her aunt. Probably ready to ask about her relationship status again. We should go, Ava said. We should. Together? Ethan smiled. Together. They walked back toward the reception, hands still intertwined, stepping into a future they hadn't planned but somehow had been building all along. And if people noticed, if they whispered, if they wondered what had changed between Ava Sterling and her perpetual +1, well, let them wonder. Some truths didn't need announcing. They just needed to be lived. The drive back to Ethan's place felt different. Same car, same streets, same playlist, shuffling through songs they'd heard 100 times. But everything had shifted sideways. Ava sat in the passenger seat, her heels kicked off onto the floor mat, her hand resting on the center console where Ethan's hand kept gravitating toward it. Every time he reached for the gear shift, their fingers would brush. Every time they stopped at a red light, he'd look over and find her already looking at him. "Stop it," she said at the third light. "Stop what?" "Looking at me like you're waiting for me to disappear." "I'm not." He stopped, because he was. "Okay, maybe a little." "I'm not going anywhere, Ethan." "I know. Do you?" He didn't answer right away. The light turned green. He drove. "I keep thinking I'm going to wake up," he said finally. "That this whole night was just, I don't know, wishful thinking. It's not. I know that too, He trailed off. Finding words felt harder than it should. "I've spent 8 years convincing myself this wasn't possible. That's a lot of rewiring." Ava was quiet for a moment. Then she reached over and took his hand, deliberately, threaded her fingers through his and held on. "We don't have to have it all figured out tonight," she said. "We just have to be honest. That's all we're doing, being honest. When did you get so smart?" "I've always been smart. You just weren't paying attention." "I was paying attention to the wrong things." She wasn't wrong. They pulled up to his house, a small 2-story in a neighborhood that was trying very hard to be gentrified, but hadn't quite made it yet. Ethan's lawn needed mowing. The porch light was flickering again. One of Tyler's action figures was abandoned on the front steps. Ava had been here 1,000 times. But tonight, walking up to that door with her hand in his felt like crossing into new territory. "Your mom kept Tyler overnight?" Ava asked as Ethan unlocked the door. "Yeah, she's bringing him back tomorrow afternoon. So we have time." "For what?" She looked at him. "To talk. Actually talk. Without an audience or champagne or wedding music in the background." "Right. Talking. They should probably do that." Inside, the house was exactly as he'd left it. Tyler's drawings covering the fridge. Dishes in the sink that Ethan had meant to wash before the wedding. A stack of work files on the coffee table next to a DVD case for some animated movie about talking animals. "Sorry about the mess," Ethan said automatically. "Ethan, I've seen your house messy before. You don't have to apologize." "I know, He didn't know how to finish that sentence. Old habits, old scripts for how this was supposed to go. Ava set her purse down on the counter, looked around like she was seeing the place for the first time. "Can I ask you something?" But "Anything. When did you know?" He didn't have to ask what she meant. "Know that I loved you?" "Yeah." Ethan thought about it, really thought about it. "I don't think there was one moment. It was more like a lot of small moments that added up. And then one day I looked at you and thought, oh, this is what I've been feeling." "When was that day?" "Tyler's 6th birthday party. 2 years ago." Ava blinked. 2 years? You remember that party?" "Of course I remember. I helped you set up. We spent 3 hours blowing up balloons. You showed up at 7 in the morning with coffee and bagels because you knew I'd be freaking out about getting everything ready. You were definitely freaking out. And then during the party, Tyler wanted to show you something, some bug he'd found in the backyard. And you sat there for 20 minutes listening to him explain the difference between beetles and ladybugs like it was the most important conversation you'd ever had." Ava smiled softly. "He's a good kid. And you didn't have to be there. You had a board meeting that morning. I know because you mentioned it, but you rescheduled so you could come to a 6-year-old's birthday party." "I wanted to be there." "I know. That's when I knew." Ethan leaned against the counter. "I watched you with him, and I thought, this is the person I want in his life, in my life, not just as a friend, as everything." And then I immediately shoved that thought down because it was terrifying. "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because what if I was wrong? What if I read everything wrong and you just saw me as the guy who always needed rescuing? The single dad who couldn't get his life together? That's not how I see you. I know that now. Did you know it then?" He shook his head. "Not really. I mean, logically, yeah. But fear isn't logical. Fear just is." Ava moved closer, leaned against the counter next to him, close enough that their shoulders touched. "You want to know when I knew?" Tell me. 4 years ago, maybe longer. But 4 years ago was when I couldn't ignore it anymore. What happened 4 years ago? You called me at 2 in the morning. Tyler was sick, really sick. You were at the emergency room and your mom couldn't get there and you were alone and terrified. And you called me. Ethan remembered that night. Fever of 104, Tyler barely conscious. Worst 3 hours of his life. You showed up in 15 minutes, he said. I don't know how you got there that fast. I drove like a maniac. Ava's voice was soft. And when I got there, you fell apart. Not in front of Tyler, but with me. You let me hold you while you cried because you were so scared, and I realized that I would do anything, to make sure you never had to be that scared alone again. Tyler was fine. I know, ear infection, responded to antibiotics, but that night, watching you with him, seeing how much you loved that kid. She paused. I went home and couldn't sleep. Just kept thinking about you, about how much I wanted to be there, not just for emergencies, for everything. Why didn't you say anything? Same reason you didn't. Fear. You had so much on your plate, single parent, demanding job. You didn't need me complicating things with feelings you might not even share. So we both just sat on it. For years, Ava confirmed. We're idiots. Complete idiots. They stood there in the kitchen, shoulders touching, both of them processing 4 years of missed opportunities. We should probably sit down, Ava said finally. Actually talk about what this means. What does it mean? I don't know. That's why we should talk about it. They moved to the living room. Ava curled up on the couch, her spot, the corner she always claimed when she came over. Ethan sat next to her, not quite touching, still figuring out the new geography of whatever this was. So, Ava said, so. We're doing this. We're doing this, Ethan echoed. Whatever this is. A relationship. The word felt too small, too ordinary for what was happening. Yeah, he said anyway. A relationship. Ava pulled her feet up under her. She was still wearing her dress from the wedding, dark blue, simple, elegant, very her. We should set ground rules. Ground rules? We're going from 8 years of friendship to whatever this is. We need rules. Boundaries. Ways to make sure we don't screw this up. Ethan hadn't thought about rules. Hadn't thought past the kiss in the garden and the feeling of her hand in his. Okay, what kind of rules? Honesty, Ava said immediately. Complete honesty. If something's bothering you, you tell me. If you're scared, you tell me. No more hiding behind jokes or pretending everything's fine. I can do that. Can you? Because you've spent 8 years being the guy who has it all together. The guy who doesn't need help. I need you to let me in, Ethan. Actually, let me in. He wanted to argue, to say he already let her in. But she was right. He'd spent years performing competence, being the guy who could handle anything, even with her. I'll try, he said. That's the best I can promise. I'll try. That's all I'm asking. She shifted position. What about Tyler? What about him? When do we tell him? How do we tell him? This affects him too. Ethan had been thinking about this since the garden. We need to be sure first, before we say anything to him. I can't introduce this as Ava and I are dating and then have it fall apart in 3 weeks. That's not fair to him. Agreed, so we wait. A few weeks at least, make sure this is real. Make sure we can actually do this. Ava nodded slowly. That makes sense. What else? Your work, Ethan said. You're busy, really busy. I need to know you're not going to resent the time I need for Tyler. The school events, the sick days, the fact that I can't just drop everything at a moment's notice. I would never resent Tyler. Not Tyler. The time, the logistics. Dating a single parent is complicated. I know that. I've been around for 8 years, remember? I know the drill. Being around for it and living with it are different things. Then we'll figure it out. She reached over, took his hand again. Ethan, I'm not going into this blind. I know what your life looks like. I know it's complicated. I'm choosing it anyway. He wanted to believe her, wanted to trust that she understood what she was signing up for. Okay, he said. But if it gets too much, you tell me. You don't just power through and then resent me later. Same goes for you. If my work schedule is too much, if I'm not around enough, you tell me. Deal. They sat in silence for a moment. The house made its familiar settling noises. The refrigerator hummed. Somewhere outside, a dog barked. This is weird, Ava said. What is? Negotiating, planning. We've never had to do this before. Before we were friends. Friends don't need ground rules. And now? Now we're... Ethan struggled for the right word. More. More? Ava repeated, testing the word. I like that. Simple. Honest. We're more, he said again, firmer this time. She smiled. We're more. Another silence, this one more comfortable. Can I stay? Ava asked suddenly. Ethan's brain stuttered. Stay? Here, tonight. Not... She caught his expression. Not like that. I don't want to go home yet. Back to my empty apartment where I'll overthink everything. Can I just stay here? On the couch or the guest room or wherever? You don't have to stay on the couch. Ethan, I'm not propositioning you. I'm saying you can take my bed. I'll take the couch. That's your bed? And you're my... He stopped. What was she? Girlfriend felt too small. Partner felt too formal. You're you. You get the bed. Ava looked at him for a long moment. We could share. His heart rate spiked. Share. The bed. We're adults. We can share a bed without it being anything. We've fallen asleep on this couch together before. They had. Late movie nights, both of them too tired to move, waking up at 3 a.m. with her head on his shoulder or his arm around her waist. That was different, Ethan said. How? We weren't this. We were always this. We just didn't admit it. She stood up. Come on. I'm exhausted. You're exhausted. We both need sleep. Let's just sleep. She made it sound simple. Maybe it was simple. Maybe he was the one making it complicated. Okay, he said. They went upstairs. Ethan lent her a t-shirt and sweatpants, watched her disappear into the bathroom to change, tried not to think about the fact that Ava Sterling was in his house, in his clothes, about to sleep in his bed. When she came out, face scrubbed clean of makeup, hair pulled back, wearing his old college shirt that hung to her knees, she looked nothing like a billionaire CEO. She looked like Ava, just Ava. Stop staring, she said. Can't help it. Try harder. She climbed into bed. Left side. The side she'd unconsciously claimed during late-night movie marathons when they'd both gotten too comfortable on top of the covers to actually go home. Ethan changed in the bathroom, brushed his teeth, tried to calm his racing heart. When he came out, Ava was already under the covers, phone in hand, scrolling through something. Work email? He asked. Emergency board report. I'm ignoring it. You never ignore work. New rule. After midnight, work doesn't exist. She set her phone on the nightstand. You coming to bed, or are you going to stand there all night? He got in, right side, his side. They'd apparently had sides all along and never realized it. The bed felt smaller than usual. Or maybe he was just hyper-aware of every inch of space between them. Relax, Ava said. I can hear you thinking from here. I'm relaxed. You're vibrating with tension. She wasn't wrong. Ethan took a breath, let it out slowly. This is just new. Good new or bad new? Good new, terrifying new, but good. I can work with that. She rolled onto her side, facing him. In the dim light from the street lamp outside, he could see her expression. Open, vulnerable, real. Hey, she said softly. Hey, we're going to be okay. How do you know? Because we're us. We've been okay for 8 years. This doesn't change that. It just adds to it. Ethan wanted to believe that. Wanted to trust that they wouldn't ruin everything by wanting more. Come here, Ava said. I'm right here. Closer. He moved closer. She closed the gap, rested her head on his shoulder the way she had 100 times before on his couch. But this time, his arm went around her deliberately. Not by accident, not by friendly habit, by choice. Better? She asked. Yeah. His voice was rough. Better. They lay there in the dark, not talking, just breathing, just being. Ethan? Hmm? Thank you. For what? For asking, even if you thought it was a joke. Thank you for being brave enough to say it out loud. He pressed a kiss to the top of her head. Instinct. Thank you for saying yes. She made a soft sound. Contentment, maybe. Or relief. Within minutes, her breathing evened out. She was asleep. Ethan stayed awake longer, listening to her breathe, feeling the weight of her against him, trying to process the fact that his entire life had just rearranged itself in the span of a few hours. Tomorrow, they'd figure out the details. The logistics. How to navigate this new reality they'd created. But tonight, this was enough. Ava. In his arms, in his bed, in his life in a way she'd never been before. It should have been terrifying. It was terrifying. But it was also the most right thing Ethan had felt in years. He closed his eyes, let himself drift. And for the first time in a long time, he fell asleep without wondering if he was making a mistake. Morning came too fast. Ethan woke to sunlight streaming through curtains he'd forgotten to close and the smell of coffee he definitely hadn't made. Ava. He sat up. The bed next to him was empty but still warm. Voices drifted up from downstairs. One was definitely Ava, the other, his mother. Oh no. Ethan grabbed a shirt and practically fell down the stairs. In the kitchen, Ava stood at the stove wearing his t-shirt and sweatpants, her hair still messy from sleep, making pancakes like she owned the place. His mother sat at the table, Tyler bouncing excitedly in the chair next to her. Dad! Tyler launched himself at Ethan. Ava's here. She's making pancakes, the good kind with chocolate chips. I see that, Ethan managed. His eyes went to his mother. Carol Cole sat there with a coffee mug and an expression that said she knew exactly what was happening and was enjoying watching Ethan squirm. Morning, sweetheart, his mother said pleasantly. I brought Tyler back early. Hope that's okay. It's fine, Ethan said automatically. We didn't. Relax. Carol smiled. Ava already explained. You got back late from the wedding. She crashed in the guest room. Ava turned from the stove, met Ethan's eyes, mouthed, go with it. Right. The guest room. Not his bed. Definitely not his bed where they'd fallen asleep wrapped around each other. Pancakes are almost ready, Ava announced. Tyler, can you get the syrup? On it. Tyler scrambled to the fridge. Carol stood, walked over to Ethan, lowered her voice. The guest room, huh? Mom, the guest room you're using for storage? The one with boxes piled on the bed? Ethan's face heated. I don't care what you did or didn't do. I care that you're happy. She patted his cheek. And you look happy. I am, he said quietly. Good. Don't screw it up. She said it cheerfully, like she was commenting on the weather, then louder, I should get going. Your father wants help in the garden. You just got here. And now I'm leaving. You three have a nice breakfast. She grabbed her purse, kissed Tyler on the head. Be good for your dad. I'm always good. Debatable, Carol said. She waved at Ava. Those pancakes better have chocolate chips. Extra chocolate chips, Ava confirmed. Good woman. Carol winked at Ethan. Then she was gone. The door closed. Silence. Then Tyler piped up. So is Ava your girlfriend now? Ethan choked on air. Ava turned from the stove, spatula in hand, eyebrows raised. What makes you ask that? Ethan managed. Tyler shrugged. You're being weird, and Grandma had that look. What look? The look she gets when she knows something but won't tell me. 7 years old and already too perceptive. We're not, Ethan started, then stopped. Because what were they doing? They'd agreed not to tell Tyler yet, but they'd also agreed to be honest. Ava rescued him. Your dad and I are figuring some things out. When we know what those things are, you'll be the first to know. Deal? Tyler considered this. Deal. Can I have extra syrup? Nice try. Normal amount of syrup. Worth a shot. Crisis averted. For now. They ate breakfast. Tyler talked nonstop about something that had happened at Grandma's house involving a frog and the neighbor's cat. Ava asked questions like she actually cared about the frog's fate. Ethan tried not to stare at the way morning light caught in her hair. This felt normal, comfortable, like the hundreds of other breakfasts they'd shared. Except now Ethan kept remembering the weight of her in his arms, the sound of her breathing while she slept, the way she'd looked at him in the garden before everything changed. After breakfast, Tyler disappeared upstairs to play. Ava started clearing dishes. "You don't have to do that," Ethan said. "I made the mess. You also made breakfast, which wasn't necessary." Tyler was hungry. I was already up. It wasn't a big deal. She rinsed a plate. "Your mom's sharp. She knows." "Yeah, she knows." Ava smiled. "She seems happy about it. She's been trying to set me up for years. Finding out I'm dating you instead of some random woman she picked probably made her weak." "We're dating?" Ethan stopped. "Aren't we?" "I don't know. Are we?" She was teasing him. He could tell by the way her eyes crinkled at the corners. "What else would you call this? Figuring things out? While sharing a bed and making breakfast?" "I've shared your bed before. I've made breakfast before." "Not like this." "No," she agreed. "Not like this." She set down the dish, dried her hands, turned to face him. "We're dating," she said. "If that's what you want to call it." "What do you want to call it?" She thought about it. "A work in progress." "Romantic." "I'm a CEO, not a poet." "You're both." That made her smile. "Flatterer." "Honest person." She moved closer. They were standing in his kitchen in the middle of the morning with his kid upstairs and dishes in the sink. Nothing special, nothing dramatic. But when she kissed him, quick and soft and tasting like coffee, it felt like everything. "I should go," she said against his mouth. "I have a meeting at 2. "On Sunday?" "Hazards of the job." "You could skip it." "I could, but I won't." She pulled back. "Rain check?" "You have a permanent rain check." "Good to know." She went upstairs to change, came back down in her dress from last night, heels in hand, looking completely out of place in his small house. "Walk me out?" she asked. He did. At her car, sleek, expensive, very Ava, she turned to face him. "So," she said. "So, this is happening." "This is happening," he confirmed. "We're really doing this. But we're really doing this." She bit her lip. "I'm scared." "Me too." "But good scared?" "Good scared," he agreed. She kissed him again, longer this time, with feeling. When she pulled away, they were both breathing harder. "I'll call you later," she said. "You better." She got in her car, started the engine, rolled down the window. "Ethan?" "Yeah?" "Last night wasn't a dream, right? If it was, we're both having it." "Good." She smiled. "Because I don't want to wake up." Then she was gone, pulling out of his driveway, disappearing down the street. Ethan stood there for a long moment, processing, absorbing. His entire life had just changed, and for once, change didn't feel like something to fear. It felt like something to run toward. He went back inside. Tyler was at the top of the stairs. "Is Ava your girlfriend?" he asked again. Ethan looked at his son, saw the hope in his eyes, the excitement. "Maybe," he said honestly, "we're still figuring it out." "Cool." Tyler grinned. "She's the best." "Yeah," Ethan said softly. "She really is." And upstairs in his room, lying on a bed that still smelled like her perfume, Ethan let himself believe that maybe, just maybe, they were going to be okay. 3 weeks in, and Ethan still couldn't shake the feeling that someone was going to call him out. Point at him in the middle of the grocery store and announce to everyone that he was a fraud. That there was no way Ava Sterling, actual billionaire CEO of a company whose stock price he'd seen on the news that morning, was dating him. But she was. They'd had dinner 4 times, real dates. The kind where he picked her up and opened doors and tried not to think about the fact that her apartment probably cost more than he'd earn in a lifetime. She'd come over twice more for breakfast with Tyler, who was starting to ask pointed questions that Ethan wasn't ready to answer. And every single time, it felt real, felt right. Until it didn't. The cracks started small, little things. Missed phone calls because she was in back-to-back meetings. Canceled plans because some crisis at work needed her immediate attention. Text messages that came at 2 a.m. because that was the first free moment she'd had all day. Ethan told himself it was fine, that he'd known what he was getting into, that this was just her life. But knowing it and living it were two different things. The breaking point came on a Thursday. Ethan had gotten off work early, picked up Tyler from school. They'd stopped at the store, grabbed ingredients for dinner, and he texted Ava asking if she wanted to come over. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti and garlic bread and whatever animated movie Tyler was currently obsessed with. She'd said yes immediately, said she'd be there by 6. 6 came and went. So did 7. By 8, Tyler was asleep on the couch and the food was cold and Ethan's phone sat on the counter, silent. At 8:47, it finally rang. "I'm so sorry." Ava's voice was frantic. "There was this thing with the Singapore office and I couldn't step away and I completely lost track of time." "It's fine," Ethan said. He didn't sound fine. "It's not fine. I promised I'd be there." "You're busy. I get it." "Ethan, really? It's okay. We'll do it another time." Silence on her end, then quietly, "You're mad." "I'm not mad." "You sound mad." He wasn't mad. He was disappointed, frustrated, scared that this was exactly what he'd been afraid of, that her world was too big and his was too small, and eventually something would have to give. "I'm tired," he said instead. "It's been a long day." Tyler was disappointed. "That's all." "I'll make it up to him." "You don't have to make anything up, just—" He trailed off, didn't know how to finish. "Just what?" "Nothing. Forget it." "Ethan, talk to me." But he didn't want to talk. Didn't want to be the needy boyfriend who couldn't handle her schedule. Didn't want to prove right every voice in his head that said this wouldn't work. "I should go," he said. "Tyler's asleep on the couch. I need to get him to bed." Another silence. Heavier this time. "Okay," Ava said finally. "I'll call you tomorrow." "Sure." He hung up, stared at the phone, wanted to throw it across the room. Instead, he picked up Tyler and carried him upstairs, tucked him into bed, came back down to a kitchen full of cold food and the weight of everything unsaid. The next day was Friday. Ethan's phone stayed quiet until noon when a text came through. "Ava, can we talk? In person?" He stared at the message. 3 bubbles appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Ava, please?" "Ethan, tonight. Tyler's got a sleepover at a friend's house. Come over around 7? "Ava, I'll be there." She was, right at 7, pulled up in her car wearing jeans and a sweater instead of her usual work clothes. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept. Join the club, Ethan thought. "Hey," she said at the door. "Hey." They stood there awkwardly, like strangers, like they hadn't spent 8 years being completely comfortable around each other. "Come in," Ethan said finally. She did, sat on the couch in her usual spot. Ethan sat across from her in the armchair, distance between them. "So," Ava started. "So." "Last night was bad. It happens." "Stop doing that." "Doing what?" "Pretending you're fine when you're not. We agreed. Honesty, remember?" Ethan leaned back, rubbed his face. "You want honesty? That's why I'm here. Fine, I'm scared. I'm scared that we're not going to work because your life is insane and mine is. This." He gestured around. "I'm scared that eventually you're going to realize that dating someone with a kid and a mortgage and a job that ends at 5 is boring, that I can't just drop everything for a last-minute dinner or a weekend trip or whatever it is people like you do." "People like me? You know what I mean?" "I really don't." Ethan stood up, started pacing. "You run a billion-dollar company, Ava. You have meetings in Singapore at midnight and lunch with investors and probably a dozen people whose entire job is to make sure your life runs smoothly. And I have a 7-year-old who needs help with homework and a house that's falling apart and absolutely nothing exciting to offer." You think that's what I want? Excitement? I think you're used to a certain kind of life. And I think eventually this, he gestured between them, is going to feel like settling. Ava stood up too. Her jaw was tight. That's the biggest load of crap I've ever heard. Excuse me? You heard me. That's crap, Ethan. Complete crap. She moved closer. Do you know what I did before I came here? I sat through a 4-hour board meeting where grown men argued about quarterly projections like it was life or death. Then I had dinner with a potential investor who spent the entire time talking about himself and his third wife and his yacht. Then I went home to an empty apartment and realized I hadn't had a real conversation with anyone in 3 days. Ava, I'm not done. You want to know what I actually want? I want to come over here and eat spaghetti with you and Tyler. I want to watch movies I've seen 50 times and fall asleep on your couch because I'm actually relaxed for once. I want someone who sees me as a person instead of a business opportunity. I want you. Her voice cracked on the last word. Ethan stopped pacing. But I screwed up, Ava continued. I got caught up in work and I forgot what was important. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I hurt Tyler. I hurt you. And I hate that I did that. I know your job is demanding. That's not an excuse. I should have said no to that meeting, or rescheduled, or at least called earlier to let you know I wasn't going to make it. Instead, I let you sit there waiting like an idiot. You didn't. I did. And it was wrong. And I'll do better. She took a breath. But I need you to stop assuming I'm going to leave. Stop waiting for me to realize you're not good enough. Because you're wrong. You're everything I want. You're just too scared to believe it. Ethan felt something crack open in his chest. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Be with someone like you. Someone whose life is so much bigger than mine. My life isn't bigger, it's just different. And yeah, it's complicated. And yeah, there are going to be nights when work gets crazy and I can't be here. But that doesn't mean I don't want to be here. It doesn't mean this isn't real. She was right in front of him now, close enough to touch. I'm terrified, Ethan admitted. Every single day. I'm terrified that I'm not enough, that Tyler's not enough, that eventually you'll wake up and realize you could have anyone and you chose this. Stop calling yourself this. You're not this. You're Ethan. You're the man I've loved for years, the man who shows up, who keeps his promises, who's raising an incredible kid on his own. You're not less than me. You're just you, and that's exactly what I want. Even when it's boring? It's not boring, it's real, and real is so much better than exciting. She reached up, touched his face. I don't want yacht parties and fancy dinners and people who only care about my bank account. I want you, messy house and all. Ethan laughed. It came out shaky. The house is pretty messy. I've seen worse. Liar. Okay, I haven't, but I don't care. He pulled her closer. She came willingly, wrapped her arms around him and held on tight. I'm sorry, he said into her hair. For assuming the worst, for not trusting this. I'm sorry for missing dinner, for making you wait, for not calling sooner. They stood there in the middle of his living room, holding each other like they were trying to fuse into one person. We're going to screw up again, Ava said. Both of us. This is new territory. We're going to make mistakes. I know. But we have to talk about it. Actually talk. Not shut down and assume the worst. I can do that. Can you? Because tonight you were ready to give up. He pulled back enough to see her face. I wasn't giving up. I was preparing for the inevitable. There is no inevitable. There's just us, figuring it out, together. Together, he repeated. She kissed him, hard and desperate and full of everything they'd been too scared to say. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Ava smiled. So we're okay? We're okay. Good. Because I brought food. What? Chinese takeout. It's in my car. I figured we should actually have dinner together since I ruined it last night. Ethan laughed. You brought food? Enough for an army. I didn't know what you liked, so I ordered everything. I've known you for 8 years. You know what I like. I know what friend Ethan likes. I'm still learning what boyfriend Ethan likes. They like the same things. Okay, but what if boyfriend Ethan has secret preferences? What if he's been hiding his love of sweet and sour pork for 8 years? I hate sweet and sour pork. See? I would never have known that. She was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And he loved her for it. They ate Chinese food straight from the containers, sat on the floor with the coffee table between them like they were college kids instead of grown adults navigating a complicated relationship. Tell me about Tyler's sleepover, Ava said around a mouthful of lo mein. He was so excited he packed his bag 3 times, changed his mind about which action figures to bring at least 5 times. I finally just told him to bring them all. Which friend? Marcus, the kid from his class who's obsessed with dinosaurs. Good kid. Seems like it. His mom's nice, single parent too. We've commiserated a few times at pickup. Ava was quiet for a moment, then carefully, do you think she's interested? In what? In you. Ethan blinked. Are you jealous? No, maybe. I don't know. She stabbed at her noodles. Is she? I have no idea. I've never thought about it. She's single. You're single. Well, you were single. You're probably her type. Ava. What? I'm dating you. I'm not interested in Tyler's friend's mom. But if you weren't dating me, I'd still not be interested, because she's not you. He set down his container. Is this a thing we're doing now? Are you going to get jealous every time I talk to another woman? I'm not jealous. You just asked if Marcus's mom was interested in me. Curious. I was curious. You were jealous. She glared at him. Fine. Maybe a little jealous. You're this great guy. You're smart and funny, and you're an amazing dad. And I know I'm not the only one who sees that. So yeah, maybe I get a little possessive when I think about other women noticing. Ethan couldn't help it. He grinned. Don't smile, Ava said. This isn't funny. It's a little funny. It's not. You're Ava Sterling. You could have anyone, literally anyone. And you're jealous of a woman I've spoken to maybe 3 times at school pickup. When you say it like that, it sounds ridiculous. Because it is ridiculous. She threw a fortune cookie at him. He caught it. I'm allowed to be jealous, she muttered. You are. It's just unnecessary. He opened the fortune cookie, read the little slip of paper inside. Huh. What does it say? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. That's not a fortune. That's a proverb. Still applies. He held up the paper. We're on a journey. We took a step. Now we keep walking. That's very philosophical for a fortune cookie. I'm a deep guy. You're a dork. A dork you're dating. Regrettably, she said, but she was smiling. They finished eating, cleaned up, moved back to the couch where Ava immediately curled into her corner and Ethan sat next to her. Tell me about Singapore, Sal, he said. What about it? The crisis that kept you in meetings. What happened? She looked surprised. You actually want to hear about work stuff? You're passionate about it? Why wouldn't I want to hear about it? So she told him about the production delays and the supplier who dropped the ball and the frantic calls with the Singapore office to fix everything before it became a PR nightmare. She talked with her hands, got animated, explained technical things he barely understood but loved hearing about because it was her. When she finished, she looked almost embarrassed. Sorry, that was probably boring. It wasn't. You don't have to humor me. I'm not. I like hearing you talk about work. You light up. I do? Yeah. It's the same way you light up when Tyler shows you something he made, or when you're arguing with me about movies. You care. It shows. She kissed him, soft and sweet and tasting like Chinese food. What was that for? He asked. For listening, for caring, for not making me feel like my job is a burden. Your job is part of you. I'm not going to resent it, even when it keeps me away. Even then, as long as you come back. Always, she promised. They sat there for a while, not talking, just existing in the same space. It was nice, comfortable, normal. Ethan? When are we going to tell Tyler? For real? He'd been thinking about that. A lot. Soon. I want to make sure we're solid first, that this isn't going to fall apart in a month. You think it will? No, but I need to be sure. For him. I understand. She paused. Can I tell you something? Anything. I'm scared too, about Tyler. What if he doesn't want this? What if he's okay with me as your friend, but not as more? He already loves you. As your friend, that's different from me being your girlfriend, being in his life in a different way. Ethan hadn't considered that she might be nervous about Tyler's reaction. He asked me again yesterday if you were my girlfriend. What did you say? I said we were still figuring it out. He said, and I quote, "You should figure it out faster because Ava's cool." She laughed. He said that? He's 7. Subtle isn't his strong suit. So you think he'd be okay with it? I think he'd be thrilled. He's been trying to get us together for years. I just didn't realize it until recently. Kids are perceptive. Terrifyingly so. Ava relaxed against him. Okay. Soon then. We'll tell him soon. Soon, Ethan agreed. His phone buzzed, a text from Marcus's mom confirming pickup time tomorrow. He showed it to Ava. See? Completely professional, no flirting. I never said she was flirting. You implied it. I was asking a question. A jealous question. She elbowed him. He laughed. Things felt normal again. Easy. Stay tonight, E? Ethan asked. You want me to? Always. So she did. They went upstairs, changed into comfortable clothes, got into bed like they'd done it 100 times instead of just a handful. This is becoming a habit, Ava said. Good habit or bad habit? Good. Definitely good. She fell asleep first, curled against him with her head on his chest and her arm across his waist. Ethan lay awake for a while, thinking about fights and makeups and jealous questions about other women, thinking about how they'd almost let fear ruin something good. But they hadn't. They'd talked, figured it out, chosen each other. And that felt like progress. He kissed the top of her head, closed his eyes, let himself drift. Tomorrow they'd pick up Tyler. Tomorrow there would be more complications and schedules to navigate and 1,000 small challenges. But tonight, this was enough. Morning brought cartoons and pancakes and Tyler bouncing through the door at 9 a.m. with so much energy, Ethan wondered if Marcus's parents had fed him straight sugar. Dad, we stayed up until midnight. We watched 3 movies, and Marcus has a lizard. Can we get a lizard? Absolutely not. But, Dad, no lizards. Tyler spotted Ava in the kitchen. Ava, you're here again. I'm here again, she confirmed. Are you living here now? No. Are you and Dad boyfriend and girlfriend? Ethan choked on his coffee. Ava looked at Ethan. Ethan looked at Ava. Tyler looked at both of them with the kind of innocent directness only a 7-year-old could manage. Ethan started, then stopped. Because what were they doing? They'd agreed to wait, to be sure. But looking at Tyler's hopeful face and Ava's uncertain expression, Ethan realized they'd been sure for weeks. They just hadn't admitted it. Yeah, he said. We are. Tyler's face split into the biggest grin Ethan had ever seen. I knew it. I totally knew it. You knew it? Ava asked. You're always looking at each other weird, and you smile differently when you talk about each other. And Dad hums now. I do not hum. You totally hum. You hummed yesterday when you were making dinner. Ava bit back a laugh. Ethan glared at her. Not helpful. So this means Ava's going to be around more, right? Tyler asked. If that's okay with you, Ava said carefully. It's awesome. Tyler launched himself at her. She caught him, stumbling back a step. Can we go to the aquarium? You promised we'd go to the aquarium. I did promise that. Can we go today? Tyler, Ava probably has plans, Ethan started. I don't have plans, Ava interrupted. Aquarium sounds great. Really? Really, but you have to promise to tell me everything you know about sharks. I know so much about sharks. Did you know some sharks can live for over 100 years? And they have multiple rows of teeth? And Tyler launched into a detailed explanation of shark biology that would probably last until they got to the aquarium. Ethan caught Ava's eye, mouthed, "Thank you." She smiled, mouthed back, "Any time." And watching her listen to his son talk about sharks with genuine interest, Ethan felt something settle in his chest. Fear was still there, would probably always be there, but so was certainty. This was right. They were right. Everything else they'd figure out as they went. The aquarium trip turned into a 3-hour adventure that left Tyler exhausted, Ava's feet aching in shoes she definitely should not have worn, and Ethan's wallet lighter but his heart fuller than it had been in years. On the drive back, Tyler fell asleep in the back seat, clutching a stuffed hammerhead shark Ava had insisted on buying him. The radio played something soft. Neither of them sang along. "That was nice," Ava said quietly. "It was. He's a great kid. He is. You're good with him." "I try." She glanced back at Tyler's sleeping form. "I meant what I said, about being around more. If you want me to be. I want you to be. Even when it's complicated? Even when I have to leave for work trips or late meetings, or even then?" Ethan reached over, took her hand. "We'll figure it out, like we've been figuring everything else out." She squeezed his fingers. "I'm not good at this." "At what?" "Being someone's girlfriend, being part of someone's family. I'm good at work, at negotiations and strategy and making decisions that affect thousands of people. But this?" She gestured between them. "I don't have a manual for this. Nobody does. You seem to. I'm faking it." That made her smile. "We're both faking it then." "Probably." They pulled into his driveway. Tyler stirred but didn't wake. Ethan carried him inside while Ava grabbed the stuffed shark and locked the car. Upstairs, Ethan tucked Tyler into bed. The kid mumbled something about dolphins and rolled over without opening his eyes. When Ethan came back downstairs, Ava was in the kitchen making tea. She'd found the kettle without asking where it was, knew which cabinet held the mugs, had been around enough that his house was becoming hers too. The thought should have scared him. Instead, it felt right. "Stay," he said. She turned. "I was planning to." "No, I mean..." He moved closer. "Stay. Really stay. Not just tonight. Move in." Her hand froze halfway to the kettle. "What?" "Move in with me. With us. You're here most nights anyway. You have clothes in my dresser and a toothbrush in the bathroom, and Tyler already thinks you live here, so just make it official." "Ethan, I know it's fast. I know we've only been doing this for a few weeks, but we've also known each other for 8 years. And I'm tired of watching you leave. Tired of sleeping in a bed that feels wrong when you're not in it. So move in. Be here. Be part of this." Ava set down the kettle. "That's a big step." "I know. A really big step." "I know. We've been dating for 3 weeks, Ethan. Most people wait longer than that. Most people haven't spent 8 years building a foundation first." She opened her mouth, closed it, seemed to be struggling with something. "What?" Ethan asked. "I want to say yes. So say yes. But I'm scared. What if we're moving too fast? What if this falls apart and then Tyler gets hurt? What if it doesn't fall apart?" Ethan interrupted. "What if we stop waiting for the other shoe to drop and just trust this? You're asking me to give up my apartment. I'm asking you to share mine. My apartment has a doorman and a gym and a view of the city. My apartment has a leaky faucet and a yard that needs mowing and a 7-year-old who already loves you. That's not fair." "What's not fair?" "Using Tyler as leverage." "I'm not using him as leverage. I'm stating facts. He loves you. I love you, and I want you here. Permanently." The word hung between them. Permanently. Not temporarily, not casually, permanently. "My work," Ava said weakly. "I have early meetings, conference calls at weird hours. I'll wake you up. So you'll wake me up. I'll deal. I travel. A lot. What's the point of living together if I'm gone half the time? The point is that when you come home, you're actually coming home. Here. To us. Not to some empty apartment where nobody's waiting for you." She was crying, Not sobbing, just tears sliding down her face that she didn't bother wiping away. "I want to say yes," she whispered. "Then say it. I'm terrified." "Me too." "What if I'm terrible at this? At being domestic? At being here for Tyler when you're not? At all the things that come with living with someone?" "Then you'll be terrible. And we'll figure it out. That's what people do." "What if your neighbors judge you for living with someone you're not married to?" "Then they can mind their own business." "What if Tyler gets too attached and then something goes wrong?" Ethan took her face in his hands, made her look at him. "What if nothing goes wrong? What if this is exactly what all three of us need and we're just too scared to grab it?" "You're really good at this," she said. "At what?" "Convincing people." "Is it working?" She laughed through her tears. "Yeah, it's working. So that's a yes." "That's a—" She stopped, took a breath. "Yes, that's a yes. I'll move in." Ethan kissed her, hard and desperate and full of relief. When they broke apart, Ava was smiling. "I can't believe I'm doing this." "Regretting it already?" "Ask me in 6 months. I will." They stood in the kitchen, foreheads pressed together, both of them shaking slightly from adrenaline or fear or something that felt like both. "I should probably tell my family," Ava said. "How do you think they'll react?" "My mother will have opinions, lots of opinions, about the fact that we're moving in together before getting engaged, about the fact that you have a child, about the fact that you're not—" She stopped. "Not what?" "Rich. She's going to say it even if she tries not to. She's going to worry about optics and what people will think and whether this is a smart decision. And what are you going to tell her? That I don't care what people think, that you're the best decision I've ever made, and that if she can't be happy for me, she can keep her opinions to herself." "Think she'll listen?" "Absolutely not. But I'll say it anyway." Ethan smiled. "I should tell my mom too." "She already knows." "She knows we're dating. This is different." "She's going to be thrilled." "Probably. She's been trying to get me to settle down for years." "See? Everyone wins." Except it wasn't that simple. And they both knew it. The next week was chaos. Ava hired movers to pack up her apartment. Ethan cleared out closet space and drawer space and tried not to panic about the fact that a billionaire was about to see exactly how not billionaire his house was. Tyler was ecstatic. He helped Ava unpack boxes, asked a million questions about why she had so many shoes, and announced to anyone who would listen that Ava was moving in and they were going to be a real family now. That word. Family. It settled over Ethan like a weight and a gift at the same time. The first night Ava officially lived there, they ordered pizza. Sat around the table like they'd done dozens of times before, except now there was a permanence to it, a commitment. "This is weird," Tyler said through a mouthful of pepperoni. "What's weird?" Ava asked. "You living here. It's good weird, but still weird." "I can move back out if you want," Ava teased. "No!" Tyler's eyes went wide. "Don't do that. I like you being here." "Good, because I like being here too." After dinner, Tyler wanted to watch a movie. They piled onto the couch. Tyler in the middle, Ethan on one side, Ava on the other. Some animated thing about robots saving the world. Tyler fell asleep 20 minutes in. "Should we move him?" Ava whispered. "In a minute, let's just—" Ethan trailed off, gestured vaguely at the scene, Tyler asleep between them. The TV flickering. The house quiet except for their breathing. "This is nice," Ava said softly. "It is. I could get used to this." "Good, because you're stuck with us now." She smiled, reached across Tyler to take Ethan's hand. Worse things to be stuck with. Later, after they'd carried Tyler upstairs and gotten him into bed, after they'd cleaned up the pizza boxes and turned off the lights, Ethan and Ava lay in their bed now, not just his, and stared at the ceiling. "First official night?" Ava said. "How's it feel?" "Surreal. Good. Terrifying." "Same. Do you think we're crazy?" "Definitely. But good crazy?" "The best kind of crazy." She rolled toward him. "Promise me something. Anything. If this gets too hard, if living together is too much, or if we start fighting all the time, Or if you wake up one day and regret asking me to move in, promise you'll tell me. Promise you won't just suffer through it. I promise, same goes for you. Deal. They sealed it with a kiss that turned into more than a kiss, that turned into a reminder that this was real and they were choosing it and nothing about it was a mistake. Afterward, lying tangled together in the dark, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in years. Peace, certainty, home. I love you, he said. I love you too. Even with the leaky faucet? Even with the leaky faucet, though we should probably fix that. Add it to the list. What list? The list of things we need to fix in this house. It's a long list. We'll tackle it together. Together. That word again. It didn't feel scary anymore. It felt like a promise. The first real test came 2 weeks later. Ava had a work trip. 3 days in New York for investor meetings. She'd warned Ethan in advance. Apologized even though she didn't need to. Promised to call every night. The morning she left, Tyler clung to her leg at the door. Do you have to go? He asked. I do, buddy, but I'll be back Friday. That's so far away. It's 3 days. 3 days is forever. Ava crouched down to his level. Tell you what, every night I'm gone, I'll call before bedtime. And we can video chat so you can tell me about your day. Deal? Tyler considered this. Can I show you my Lego sets? All of them. Even the spaceship I'm building? Especially the spaceship. Okay, deal. He hugged her tight. Ava hugged back, her eyes meeting Ethan's over Tyler's head. I'll miss you, she said to both of them. We'll miss you too, Ethan replied. But we'll survive. She left. The house felt emptier without her. That first night Tyler was clingy, kept asking when Ava was going to call, got upset when Ethan couldn't give him an exact time. When she finally did call at 8 p.m., Tyler talked for 45 minutes straight about everything from lunch to recess to the weird smell in the gym. Ava listened to all of it, asked questions, laughed at his jokes, made faces at the camera that had Tyler giggling. When Tyler finally went to bed, Ethan took the phone into the living room. Hey, he said. Hey yourself. He doing okay? He missed you. We both did. I missed you too. This bed is too big without you in it. Hotel suite? Ridiculous hotel suite. I think the bathroom is bigger than Tyler's bedroom. Sounds awful. It is. Very lonely and awful. She paused. How are you really? Fine. Tired. Tyler was extra Tyler today. I think he's processing the fact that you're not here. Is he okay with it? He will be. He just needs to adjust to the fact that sometimes you have to leave, that it's not forever. I hate leaving. I know, but it's your job. We knew this was part of the deal. Doesn't make it easier. No, but we'll figure it out, like everything else. They talked for another hour. About nothing. About everything. About Ava's meetings and Ethan's day and the fact that the house felt wrong without her in it. 2 more days, Ava said finally. I can do 2 more days. You can do anything. Flatterer. Truth teller. She smiled. He could hear it in her voice. Get some sleep, Ethan. You too. Love you. Love you too. The call ended. Ethan sat in the quiet house, staring at his phone, and realized something. This was going to be their life. Her leaving for work trips, him staying home with Tyler, making it work across distance and time zones and demanding schedules. It wouldn't be easy, but it would be worth it. By Friday, when Ava's car pulled into the driveway, Tyler was practically vibrating with excitement. She's here, Dad! She's here! I can see that. Tyler bolted out the door before Ethan could stop him. Ava barely had time to get out of the car before Tyler crashed into her. You're back! I'm back! She laughed, scooping him up even though he was getting too big for that. Did you miss me? So much. Dad made dinner every night, but it wasn't as good as when you make it. Hey, Ethan protested from the doorway. My cooking is fine. It's okay, Tyler amended, but Ava's is better. Brutal honesty from a 7-year-old. Ava set Tyler down, walked up to Ethan, kissed him right there on the front porch where the neighbors could see. Hi, she said. Hi, welcome home. Home, she repeated, testing the word. I like the sound of that. They went inside. Ava unpacked while Tyler talked nonstop about everything she'd missed. Ethan made dinner, spaghetti, because he knew how and Tyler wouldn't complain. They ate together at the table. Ava told stories about New York. Tyler showed her the spaceship he'd finished building. Everything felt normal again. That night, after Tyler was asleep, Ethan and Ava lay in bed. 3 days was too long, Ava said. Agreed. Next time, I'm taking you with me. What about Tyler? Your mom can watch him, or we bring him too. Make it a family trip. Family. There was that word again. I'd like that, Ethan said. Good. Because I'm not doing 3 days alone in a hotel again. It was miserable. Even with the giant bathroom? Especially with the giant bathroom. Too much space, not enough you. He pulled her closer. She came willingly, settled against him like she'd been doing it for years instead of weeks. Ethan? Yeah? Thank you. For what? For making this easy, for not making me choose between work and you, for understanding when I have to leave. It's not easy, he admitted, but it's worth it. Is it really? Really? You being here, when you are here, makes everything better. The leaving is hard, but the coming home makes up for it. She was quiet for a moment, then, I want to marry you. Ethan's heart stopped. What? Not now, not yet, but someday, I want to marry you. I want this to be permanent, legal, real in every way that matters. It's already real. I know, but I want more. I want the whole thing. Marriage, maybe more kids if you want them. Growing old together. All of it. Ethan couldn't breathe. You want kids? With you? Yeah, maybe. If you want them. If Tyler wants a sibling. I know it's a lot to think about. We don't have to decide now. I wanted you to know that this isn't temporary for me, that I'm all in. He kissed her, poured everything he was feeling into it. When they broke apart, they were both shaking. I want that too, he said. All of it. Marriage. More kids. Everything. Yeah? Yeah. Okay then. Okay. They fell asleep wrapped around each other, the future spreading out before them like a map to somewhere they both wanted to go. Morning came with Tyler jumping on the bed at 7 a.m. demanding pancakes. Ava groaned. Ethan laughed. They stumbled downstairs and made breakfast together while Tyler chattered about his plans for the day. This was life now. Messy and chaotic and perfect. Later that afternoon, while Tyler was at a friend's house and Ava was catching up on emails at the kitchen table, Ethan's phone rang. His mother, "Hey, Mom." "Ethan, we need to talk." Her tone made his stomach drop. "About what?" "About Ava. About what you're doing. About whether you've really thought this through." He walked into the living room, away from Ava. "What are you talking about?" "You moved her in, after dating for less than a month. We've known each other for 8 years. That's not the same thing. Dating is different. Living together is different. And you have Tyler to think about." "I am thinking about Tyler." "Are you?" "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're rushing into something without considering how it might affect him if it doesn't work out." Ethan's jaw tightened. "It's going to work out." "You can't know that." "I can. I do." "Ethan." "No, Mom, listen to me. I know this seems fast. I know it looks crazy from the outside. But Ava and I aren't some random couple who met at a bar and decided to shack up. We've been building toward this for years. We just finally admitted it. She's a billionaire, sweetheart. Her life is completely different from yours. How are you going to make that work long term?" "The same way we've made it work for 8 years. By actually caring about each other instead of worrying about money or status or what other people think." Silence on the other end. Then quietly, "I just don't want to see you get hurt." "I know, but you have to trust me on this. Ava isn't going anywhere, and neither am I." More silence. Then a sigh. "Okay, if you're sure." "I'm sure." "Then I'm happy for you, truly. I just needed to say my piece. I know, and I love you for caring, but we're good, better than good." "All right. Well, invite her over for dinner soon. Your father wants to grill her about her intentions." Ethan laughed. "I'll let her know." After he hung up, he found Ava watching him from the kitchen doorway. "Your mom?" she asked. "Yeah, she's worried. She'll get over it. She has a point, though. We did move fast. We moved at exactly the right speed for us." Ava crossed to him. "You really believe that?" "I really do. Don't you?" She thought about it, then nodded. "Yeah, I do." "Good. Because I'm not changing my mind. You're stuck with me." "Promise?" "Promise." And standing there in his living room, with the afternoon sun streaming through the windows and the sounds of the neighborhood drifting in from outside, Ethan knew they were going to be okay. Not perfect, not easy, but okay. And okay was more than enough. 6 months later, Ethan still couldn't believe this was his life. He woke up every morning to Ava stealing the covers, made coffee while she checked emails at the kitchen table in one of his old t-shirts, drove Tyler to school while she took conference calls in the passenger seat, mouthing apologies when her voice got too loud. It wasn't perfect. They fought about stupid things. Who forgot to buy milk? Whose turn it was to do laundry? Whether Tyler should be allowed to have dessert on school nights? Normal couple stuff that felt monumental when you were living it and ridiculous when you looked back. But they worked. Somehow, against all logic and every reason it shouldn't, they worked. The proposal wasn't planned. Ethan had been thinking about it for months, had a ring hidden in his sock drawer that he'd bought 3 weeks after Ava moved in, kept waiting for the perfect moment, the romantic moment, the moment that would make sense in the story they'd tell later. But perfect moments didn't exist, not in real life. Not with a 7-year-old who had no concept of privacy and a girlfriend whose work schedule changed by the hour. So it happened on a Tuesday. Nothing special about it. Tyler had a half day at school. Ava was working from home. Ethan had taken the afternoon off to handle some errands that had been piling up. They were in the backyard. Tyler was digging in the dirt, looking for bugs. Ava was sitting on the porch steps with her laptop, pretending to work, but mostly watching Tyler with a soft smile. Ethan came outside with 3 glasses of lemonade, set them down on the steps, sat next to Ava. "Find anything good?" he called to Tyler. "Worms! So many worms!" "Fascinating," Ava laughed. "He's going to track dirt all through the house." "Probably." "You're going to have to clean it up." "Probably." She leaned against him. He put his arm around her. They sat there in comfortable silence, watching Tyler excavate the garden like he was searching for buried treasure. "I love this," Ava said quietly. "Dirt and worms. This, us. Normal Tuesday afternoons where nothing special happens, but it feels special anyway." Ethan's heart kicked. The ring was upstairs, hidden, safe. He could go get it, could make this into something planned and thought out, or he could just do it. Right here, right now, in jeans and an old t-shirt with dirt under his fingernails and lemonade getting warm in the sun. "Marry me," he said. Ava went very still. "What?" "Marry me. Not someday, not eventually. Actually marry me." She turned to look at him. Her laptop slid off her knees. She didn't notice. "Are you serious?" "Completely serious. I love you. Tyler loves you. You're already part of this family. Let's make it official." "Ethan, I know we said someday, but why wait? We already know this works. We already know we want forever, so let's just do it." "You don't have a ring." "I do actually. It's upstairs. I've had it for months. But right now, in this moment, I don't want to wait to go get it. I just want to ask you, here, now. With our kid digging up worms in the backyard and lemonade going flat, and absolutely nothing romantic about it except the fact that this is our life and I want you in it forever." Ava's eyes were wet. "Our kid?" "Yeah, our kid. He's ours. Both of ours. Has been for a while now." "Dad!" Tyler's voice cut through. "Ava, look at this worm. It's huge." They both turned. Tyler was holding up something that was definitely not a worm. "That's a root, buddy," Ethan called back. "Are you sure?" "Pretty sure." Tyler examined it more closely, shrugged, went back to digging. Ava was laughing and crying at the same time. "This is insane. Is that a yes? You're proposing to me in the backyard while our son plays in the dirt." "Our son. You said it too." "I did." She wiped her eyes. "I really did." So is that a yes? She kissed him, hard, with feeling. When she pulled back, she was smiling so wide it looked like it hurt. Yes, it's a yes. It's been a yes since the garden, since the wedding, since probably years before that. Ethan kissed her again. Heard Tyler make gagging noises in the background. Gross, you're kissing again. Get used to it, kid, Ethan called back. We're getting married. But Tyler dropped his root worm. Really? Really? Does that mean Ava's going to be my mom? Ava stiffened. Ethan felt it. This was the question they'd been dancing around for months, the one they hadn't quite figured out how to answer. Ava stood up, walked over to Tyler, crouched down to his level, dirt and all. I can't replace your mom, she said gently. You had a mom who loved you, who would still love you if she was here. I can't be her. Tyler's face fell. But, Ava continued, I can be someone who loves you just as much, someone who's going to be here for you, who's going to help raise you and support you and be in your corner no matter what, if you want me to be. Like a bonus mom? Tyler asked. Exactly like a bonus mom. Tyler thought about this. Then, can I call you Mom? Ava's breath caught. If you want to. You don't have to. You can call me Ava or anything else you're comfortable with. I want to call you Mom. He said it firmly, like he'd been thinking about it for a while. Because that's what you are. You make me lunch and help with homework and come to my soccer games. That's what moms do. Yeah, Ava said, her voice breaking. That's what moms do. Tyler hugged her, got dirt all over her shirt. She didn't care. Ethan watched them and felt something crack wide open in his chest. This was his family, his actual family, not the broken pieces he'd been trying to hold together for years. Something whole, something real. Can we tell Grandma? Tyler asked, pulling back from Ava. We can tell everyone, Ethan said. Can we tell Marcus? Sure. Can we get a dog now? Absolutely not. But we're a family. Families have dogs. Families also have boundaries. No dog. Tyler groaned dramatically. You guys are the worst. You love us anyway, Ava said. Yeah, Tyler admitted. I do. That night, after Tyler was asleep and the excitement had died down, Ethan finally went upstairs to get the ring. It was simple. A single diamond. Nothing flashy. Ava had enough flashy in her work life. This was just them. He found her in the kitchen, making tea, still in the shirt with dirt stains from Tyler's hug. Hey, he said. Hey yourself. He held out the ring box. I know you already said yes, but I want to do this properly. Ava set down her tea, turned to face him. Ethan got down on one knee. Right there on the kitchen floor with the dishwasher running and the faucet still dripping and nothing remotely romantic about it except everything. Ava Sterling, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. You and Tyler. You make me better. Make my life better. Make everything better just by being in it. Will you marry me? Actually, officially marry me? She was crying again. You already asked me this afternoon. I know, but you deserve the whole thing. The ring, the down on one knee moment. The speech. It was a good speech. Thanks. I've been practicing. Liar. You made it up on the spot. Maybe. He was still kneeling. So? So, yes. Obviously, yes. I said yes 6 hours ago. I'm saying yes now. I'll say yes every time you ask. He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. She looked at it like she couldn't quite believe it was real. It's beautiful, she whispered. It's not as fancy as what you're probably used to. It's perfect. You're perfect. This is perfect. Nothing about this is perfect. I proposed in the backyard while our kid played in dirt. Exactly. It's perfectly us. She pulled him up, kissed him. The ring caught the light and threw tiny rainbows across the kitchen wall. We're really doing this, Ava said. We really are. I'm going to be Mrs. Cole. Or I could be Mr. Sterling. She laughed. My mother would have a stroke. Then definitely Mr. Sterling. We're not doing that. Why not? Because I want your name. I want to be part of this. Officially, legally, Mrs. Ava Cole. Hearing her say it out loud made it real in a way nothing else had. When? Ethan asked. When what? When do you want to get married? I don't know. When do you want to get married? Tomorrow. She laughed. We can't get married tomorrow. Why not? Because we need to plan, send invitations, find a venue. Or we could just go to the courthouse. Keep it simple. Ava was quiet for a moment. You'd be okay with that? No big wedding? I don't need a big wedding. I just need you. What about Tyler? He can come. It'll be the three of us, making it official. Your mother will kill us. She'll get over it. My mother will definitely kill us. She'll also get over it. Ava bit her lip. A courthouse wedding? Just us. Just us. No fuss, no stress. No 6-month planning process. Exactly. When? Next month? Give us time to get the paperwork in order. Next month, Ava repeated, testing it out. That's fast. Too fast? No, just fast. Good fast. So we're doing this. We're doing this. They sealed it with a kiss that turned into more than a kiss, that turned into a celebration of everything they'd built and everything they were about to become. Later, lying in bed with Ava's head on his chest and her hand, with its new ring resting over his heart, Ethan felt something he'd spent years running from. Certainty. Not the kind that came from having everything figured out, the kind that came from knowing that whatever came next, they'd handle it together. Ethan? Ava's voice was sleepy. Thank you for being brave enough to ask. You already thanked me for that, 8 months ago in a garden. I'm thanking you again for not giving up, for pushing through the fear, for seeing what this could be even when I was too scared to. We were both scared. But you asked anyway. You always ask anyway. He kissed the top of her head. That's because I knew the answer. Did you? Not at first, but somewhere deep down, yeah. I knew you'd say yes. Just like I knew we'd end up here eventually. It just took us a while to catch up to what we already knew. She made a soft sound. Agreement, maybe. Or just contentment. I love you, she said. I love you too. They fell asleep like that, tangled together, planning a future that had already started. The next morning, Tyler came into their room at 6 a.m. Is Ava still going to be here? He asked. She lives here, bud. She's always going to be here, Ethan said. Forever? Forever. Even when she has to travel for work? She always comes back. Tyler climbed onto the bed, wedged himself between them. Good. I like her here. Me too, Ethan said. Me three, Ava mumbled, still half asleep. They lay there for a while, the three of them, their small, imperfect family. Eventually, Tyler got restless, started asking about breakfast, about whether they could have pancakes, about whether Ava's ring meant she was stuck with them now. Stuck is a strong word, Ava said. But you are, right? You can't leave now. That's what marriage means. Marriage means choosing to stay, every day, even when it's hard. Is it going to be hard? Sometimes, but worth it. Tyler seemed satisfied with that answer. He went downstairs to watch cartoons, leaving Ethan and Ava alone. You ready for this? Ethan asked. For what? All of it. Marriage, being a stepmom, tying yourself to me and my chaos permanently. I've been ready. I've been ready since the moment you made that joke in the garden. Maybe even before that. No regrets? Not a single one. A month passed faster than Ethan expected. They filed paperwork, told their families, weathered Carol's insistence that they at least have a small reception afterward and Ava's mother's thinly veiled concern about the whole arrangement, but they stuck to their plan. Courthouse wedding, just them and Tyler and Ethan's mother as a witness. The morning of, Ethan woke up nervous, not scared, not doubtful, just nervous in that good way that meant something important was about to happen. Tyler was more excited than either of them. He'd picked out his own outfit, dress pants and a button-up shirt that he'd insisted was wedding appropriate. Ava wore a simple white dress, nothing elaborate, just something that felt right. Ethan wore a suit he'd borrowed from a friend because the only suit he owned was from his first wedding, and that felt wrong on multiple levels. They drove to the courthouse in Ava's car. Tyler talked the entire way about what marriage meant, and whether they'd change their minds at the last minute, and whether there would be cake afterward. "There will definitely be cake," Ava promised. "Good, because weddings need cake." "They really do." Carol met them outside. She hugged Ethan tight. "You sure about this?" "More sure than I've ever been about anything." "Good, because that woman loves you. Don't screw it up." "I'll do my best." "That's all anyone can ask." Inside, the courthouse was exactly what you'd expect. Fluorescent lights, linoleum floors, a judge who looked like he'd done this 1,000 times and would do it 1,000 more. But when Ava took Ethan's hand and Tyler stood between them, grinning like this was the best day of his life, nothing else mattered. The ceremony was short, simple, no fancy vows. Just the standard promises to love and honor and stick together through whatever life threw at them. When the judge said, "You may kiss the bride," Ethan did, and Tyler cheered, and Carol cried, and Ava laughed against his mouth because this was them. This was their wedding. Perfect in its imperfection. Afterward, they went to Tyler's favorite restaurant. Not fancy, not expensive. Just the diner down the street where they'd been going for years. They ate burgers and fries and cake that Carol had secretly arranged. Tyler got frosting all over his face. Ava took pictures. Ethan couldn't stop smiling. "So this is it," Ava said. "We're married. We're married." "How does it feel?" "Exactly the same as yesterday, except more official." "Good different or bad different?" "The best different." Tyler was showing Carol his new video game on Ethan's phone. Ava was watching them with that soft expression she got sometimes, the one that said she was exactly where she wanted to be. "Thank you," Ethan said. "For what?" "For saying yes, that first time. When I was too scared to mean it. You could have laughed it off. Could have pretended I wasn't serious. But you didn't. You were brave enough for both of us." "We were brave together," Ava corrected. "You asked. I answered. We both took the leap. Best leap I ever took." "Me too." They sat there in a diner booth with sticky syrup on the table and terrible coffee and their kid showing his grandmother memes he didn't fully understand. This was their life now, their family, their forever. Not perfect, not easy. Not anything like what Ethan had imagined when he'd been standing in that garden 8 months ago, hiding behind a joke because the truth felt too dangerous. But it was theirs, and that made it everything. Later that night, after they dropped Carol off and gotten Tyler into bed, Ethan and Ava stood in their bedroom, their first night as husband and wife. "So," Ava said. "So?" "We did it. We did." She looked at her ring, at the wedding band that now sat next to it. "I'm Mrs. Cole. You are. Feels weird, good weird, but weird. You can still go by Sterling if you want. No, I want this. I want your name. I want all of it." She kissed him, slow and sweet and full of promise. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For not giving up on us. For asking that stupid question 8 months ago. For being brave enough to mean it." "It wasn't brave. It was terrified." "Same thing sometimes." "Yeah, I guess it is." They got into bed, their bed, in their house, with their kid asleep down the hall. "Ethan." "Hmm?" "I'm glad it was you." "Me too. I mean it. Out of everyone in the world, I'm glad it was you. I'm glad we wasted 8 years being friends. I'm glad we were both too scared to say anything, because now, this moment, right here, it feels earned. It feels real. It is real." "I know, but sometimes I still can't believe it." "Believe it. You're stuck with me now, for better or worse." "Mostly better. Occasionally worse. I can live with that." She fell asleep first, curled against him the way she always did, the way she would for the rest of their lives. Ethan stayed awake a little longer, thinking about the journey that had brought them here, the years of friendship, the fear, the moment in the garden when everything changed. People talked about love like it was supposed to be easy, Like finding the right person meant everything just fell into place. Like happily ever after was a destination you arrived at and stayed forever. But Ethan knew better now. Love wasn't easy. It was choosing someone every single day. It was working through the hard parts. It was admitting when you were scared and doing it anyway. It was showing up even when it would be easier to run. He and Ava hadn't fallen in love overnight. They'd built it, slowly, carefully, over 8 years of friendship that neither of them had recognized as foundation until they were already standing on it. And yeah, they'd messed up, said the wrong things, hurt each other, struggled to figure out how two very different lives could fit together. But they'd also chosen each other, every time. Even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. That was what forever meant. Not perfection, not ease, just choosing, every day, no matter what. Ethan closed his eyes, held his wife a little tighter, listened to the sound of her breathing and their son sleeping down the hall. This was home. This was family. This was everything he'd been too afraid to want and brave enough to reach for anyway. And somewhere in the quiet darkness, he made a promise. Not to be perfect, not to never mess up, but to keep choosing this, choosing them, for as long as he lived. Because 8 months ago, in a garden lit by string lights, he'd made a joke that wasn't really a joke. And Ava had said yes. And that yes had changed everything. Not all at once, not in some dramatic, movie-perfect way, but slowly, steadily, one day at a time. Until here they were, married, a family, building something real out of years of almost and what-ifs. And if that wasn't worth celebrating, Ethan didn't know what was. He fell asleep with a smile on his face and his whole world in his arms. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new fears, new moments where they'd have to choose each other all over again. But tonight, in this moment, everything was exactly as it should be. Not perfect, just theirs. And that was more than enough.